Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mid-Ohio for round number 1 of the 2014 Season 3 iRacing.com IndyCar Road Course Championship. Will Vincent here from RaceSpotTV. You can follow me on Twitter at Will Vincent, Facebook.com/I am Will Vincent as well. And we are going to go right ahead and have a look at your starting grid for this event. Starting today on pole position will be Sebastian Job, qualifying time of 1 minute 4.859. Mark Fangman will line up alongside him in row number 1. Row number 2, Fabio Gonzalez and Joshua Chin. Then on to the third row is going to be Jerry Whitfield and Diego Rancombordom. Carlo Labate and Tom Ward in row number 4, with Frank Levesque the 4th and Ricardo Chevion in row number 5. Chevion, of course, is your 2014 Season 2 champion. John Elliott and Dennis Garis in the 6th row of the grid. Then Oliver Brandt, Adriano Pinero, Christian Payne, Frederick Evers, and the rest qualifying coming up on your screen momentarily. Total 21 cars. Robert Bigorni scored at the rear of the field. You can see the cars are beginning to line up now at the bottom end of the racetrack as we are getting set to go racing, and it will be Sebastian Job starting today on pole position. There is the iRacing.com first safety car at the front of the field. Going to be a very short pace lap here, literally just a couple of corners, and we will be going green flag racing here, and we'll be with you all season long, of course, here on RaceSpotTV as well. There you see the pace car is now just beginning to pull off, and 21 cars getting set to do battle here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We call it a pace lap. This isn't really a pace lap at all. You can see actually where the cars are. They're walking themselves right at the very end of the pace lap. There you see the pace car any moment now is going to make that dart down onto pit road. He does so. The field is in command of Sebastian Job. This race, the new season, will start right now! Looks as though all of your cars have got themselves through turn 1. We have got a spinner. That is Dennis Garis by the looks of it at the rear of the field. There he is, Dennis Garis at the rear of the field. Unfortunately, he has fallen right to the rear of it. That is not what he would have wanted to have happen to him at all. And the guy from Vortex Sim Racing now at the rear of the field. Out front, however, it is that guy, Sebastian Job, in that Leo Bodnar car. You can see a little bit too wide racing actually just behind him as well. They remain too wide. That is Fabio Gonzalez and Jeffrey Ritfield. Ritfield there just getting the pass done over Fabio Gonzalez, moving himself up into the third position on the racetrack, riding on board with Ritfield. As you can see, the car is just a little bit squirmish in these first couple of laps, but this is actually where things are going to be fastest for these drivers. Give it a few laps, the cars will settle down. You've got to be very careful in this race, especially on this racetrack. Make sure you don't overheat your tyres. So then, Phil completing lap number 1. It is going to be Sebastian Job leading away from Mark Fangman. Second place is third place is Jeffrey Ritfield. Fourth place Gonzalez. Fifth place is Joshua Chin. Down in the middle of the pack, it looks as though things have actually got themselves nice and settled down for the time being, as we look higher above here at the bit of higher sports car course. You can see that these drivers are all line of stern. Now, a new feature for this season, these drivers have got themselves 10 push-to-pass buttons that they can use. And you can see there's possibly one driver on it there. That was Christopher Byrne at that moment in time, trying to get himself onto the button as we ride on board of him. Christopher Payne even riding on board with him right now, running himself in the 13th position on the racetrack. Currently sat behind Oliver Brown in the number 17 Pennzoil car. But Payne was on the button, wasn't able to get the job done. Looking very fast though as he comes out of the China bends, working himself now into sector 3 on the racetrack. Tom Ward right now in that number 6 car, looking very close to the rear of Diego Ricciardo Bordon. And having a look at the gap right now, it literally is just about 4/10 of a second on the racetrack, as we're going to have a look from the rear of Diego Bordon coming down into the keyhole. Now, you've got to keep an eye now on Tom Ward to see whether he's going to actually try and get on the button this time by. Doesn't look as though he is actually going to do so at this point. All of these drivers got to be very careful about their push to passes. Make sure they don't use them all too early and therefore have something left in reserve for the latter stages of this race. But it looks like the field has now settled down. Just one retiree so far, and that is Marcus Hamilton, scored in the 21st position on the racetrack, being classified as out of the race. Everyone else is still running. Getting word that potentially Dennis Grease might also be out of the race. No, he's actually scored legging on the racetrack, but he's scored way down the field right now. So then, let's check in with this guy, your race leader. It is Sebastian Job in that number 11 car. And you can see the gap is now up to about 1 second between himself and Mark Fangman. Last time by 108.9 for Sebastian Job, and 109.1 for Mark Fangman. And Job actually getting almost 2/10 of a second in turn number 1 as well. Really fast with that section of the racetrack. And you see that gap increases as they work themselves through the keyhole. We'll go on board with your race leader just to show you just how good he is. But you've got to keep an eye on your screen. Keep an eye actually on that gap, and you'll notice that Fangman closed that gap in the second part of the lap. So that's something we should be paying attention to. Of course, the big passes here are really made in the fast sections of the racetrack, coming down into turn number 1, into the keyhole, and of course down into the China bends as well. But actually, something's happened to Fangman. He has dropped back quite a bit more. There you see him. He's lost an awful lot of time this lap. And one of the things I've been talking to drivers about is that they really have to make sure they don't overuse those tyres at the start of a run. And potentially, that might have been what happened to Mark Fangman. You see the gap now between himself and Gonzalez. It's down to just 1 place on the racetrack. Last time by a 109.2 for Fabio Gonzalez, 109.1. And you see Fangman there, a 110.2. Lost an entire second to Fabio Gonzalez in that battle for second position. So this is clearly something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Behind, though, Christopher Payne. We talked about him before. Going to ride on board of him. Is he going to try and make that pass on Oliver Brand? I think he's going to try the outside. No, he's not. Not quite enough as they come down into the keyhole. But clearly, Christopher Payne is on the move right now. Will he use the push to pass to try and get himself past Oliver Brandt? Doesn't look as though he's going to do so this time. Of course, Brandt has got the drafts of the cars ahead of him. That will help him for the next couple of corners. So then, lap number 5 of 38 here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. There is a really good battle you see on your racetrack. We have got a couple of other battles that are going on as well. We talked about, of course, Fangman and Gonzalez. We'll go back to that in a moment because we have got a car off. That is Joshua Chin by the look of it. Indeed it is. Confirmation, Joshua Chin there for Banshee Autosport going off the racetrack. Now let's see if we can see exactly what happened to him. Replay coming up on your screen. So then, here is Joshua Chen. He just loses it on the exit of the China Benz there. Worst place you want to do it, because from there on in, he's going to be losing an absolute ton of time and positions. Not the way Joshua Chen would want to start his season. Let's get another look at that. From on board, you see, just clips that yellow line, spins the car around. Joshua Chin, not out the race, got himself into the gravel, and that thankfully stopped him from hitting the wall, but he is well down the field. And there you get confirmation. He is now down in the 17th position on the racetrack, putting a little bit of pressure right now on Timo Butchheim. And in fact, is he going to make a pass? Yes, he is going to make a pass. Just breezes past there. Butchheim realizing how fast Shin was earlier in this race and just allowing him to go. So then, let's go back to what is actually turning out to be a great battle on the racetrack right now. And this involves Ricardo Chevion, your former champion from last season. Chevion, of course, you saw him on RaceSpotTV when we said goodbye to the old car. Now he's actually only running mid-pack, so that shows the high level of competition that really has come into the series for 2014 Season 3. And we'll ride on board with that Team GT car. Chevion in that Team GT car, currently running himself in the 7th position on the racetrack. He has got a very fast Renton Vector 4th right behind him, just about 4 attempts, but you've got a train of cars right now, all the way from Diego Bordon in 4th place, all the way back to about Oliver Brand running himself in the 10th position on the racetrack. So there you see Chevion. There you actually see a great shot of the entire train there, which has really now got about 7, 8 cars in it, 9, 10 cars even in it right now. And these guys really, if they make one mistake, as we saw with Joshua Chin earlier, there is a good chance that these guys really could lose a lot of places, a lot of iRating, and start their season off in a bad light. Actually, let's have a look from the rear of Tom Ward and see what's going on in his world. And there you see that gaggle of cars behind him. Nice open track ahead, of course, for Tom Ward. But as it stands right now, as he comes past, oh no! Tom Ward! He's hit the wall! Tom Ward has just hit the wall there. I have no idea what has happened. We'll need to get ourselves a replay of that. That was crazy for Tom Ward. Replay coming up on your screen. So this is coming out of the final corner. And you just see the car, the number 16 car actually it was, of Bordeaux. Something just happened to him. He got himself loose upside down. Carnage coming out the final corner. We'll get another look actually from on board with Bordeaux. See exactly what happened. This is coming out the final corner. You see that car just getting loose onto that curb, upside down. We'll get one more replay of that one, but an absolutely crazy moment there. I think at least 3 cars were involved in this. And keep an eye out on the front. You see, you've got Bordeaux, then you've got Ward right behind him as well. That little wiggle turns him, spears him into Ward, upside down. Ward's involved in the incident as well. Then more drama as the cars go past. And thankfully, most people were able to get through, but a scary moment there midway through this race. Let's check in on this battle for the 2nd position as we work ourselves on lap number 9 of 38 here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And let's have a look at the guy running in that 2nd position, Mark Fangman. There you can see the view from behind as he works himself down towards the China Benz again. Gap between himself and Gonzalez is about 7 tenths of a second on the racetrack. So last time by a 109.6. for Fangman, a 109.4 from Gonzalez, but Gonzalez is now in that dirty air. Things are going to get a lot more difficult for him over the next couple of laps. We're getting word Carlo Labate has potentially had an issue as well. Let's see if we can get a replay, a look at that, see what's happened to Carlo Labate, whether it is actually him classified as out of the race or whether it is just some form of technical issue for him. Having a look at him here, everything seems to look fine right now. Yeah, it does seem to be that it is just some technical issues there for Carlo Labate at this point in time. Let's go back then between that gap with Gonzalez. We're right on board with him right now, running in that third place. There you can see the gap to Fangman ahead of him. The gap to the race lead, however, is about 5.3 seconds right now on the racetrack between Job and Gonzalez. So if Gonzalez can get himself past Fangman, there is an opportunity he might have enough laps to try and close down to the rear of Sebastian Job. So then working himself through the China bends. That is the battle for second position. Meanwhile, John Elliott right now is attempting to make a pass. There we are, side by side racing. John Elliott is getting himself past there by Jeffrey Retfield. This is the battle for 7th position on the racetrack. Elliott tried it on the outside there, down into the China bends, wasn't able to get so. He remained in the 8th position for the time being. Right behind, he has got Christopher Payne involved in that mix there as well. That gaggle of cars is still incredibly tight on the racetrack. And what's actually happened? This guy, Joshua Chin, we talked about him earlier on, he had his moment. Now, because of the fact that this field is so tightly compressed, Joshua Chin is actually now up to the 12th position and right there in that gaggle of cars. Last time by a 1 minute 9.496 for him as he works himself back down into turn number one more time. Christopher Payne, it looks as though he's on the move right now. There we see side-by-side racing. Will he get the job done? Down into the China bends, working on board with him. Will he be able to hold that inside line into the corner? The answer's going to be yes, he is. Christopher Payne moves himself up now into the 8th position on the racetrack. Oh, we've got a car off there on the racetrack. Yes, we have. That is Oliver Brandt. Oliver Brandt, something's happened to him. He's lost it there at the end of the China bend. Get ourselves a replay of that. So this is coming down into the China bends right now for Oliver Brandt. He was running himself inside the top 10 at the front of that gaggle of cars in that number 17 Shell Pendo machine. Now let's see what happened to him. Just lost it there coming through the China bends. Does he hit the wall? I think he just about missed everything there. But of course, he lost a lot of time trying to find a way of getting that car back out onto the racetrack. So there's one more look then of Brandt. Did he miss the wall? Yes, he did. Very lucky, actually. But you see again just how many cars are going past him on the racetrack. He lost about 4, 5, 6 spots as he tried to bring his car back out. Oliver Brandt now scored in the 15th position on the racetrack. So then, right now, to run through your top 10, it is Sebastian Job still leading the way. Now, with a 6.3 second gap over second place, Mark Fangman. So really eking out those times now. Last time by for Job, a 1 minute 9.170. Great work for Job so far. Mark Fangman in that second position has still got about a 0.5 second gap to Fabio Gonzalez, who runs in that third position. There you see Fangman in the all-black car, then Gonzalez, who is running in that green and black and white machine. Will Gonzalez try and go on the button this time by? Doesn't look as though he's going to be close enough as they work themselves through the kink and down towards the China bends once again. Running in third place right now is Gonzalez. We talked about that, the gap between himself and Ricardo Chivion. That's about 7 seconds on the racetrack right now. Chivion scored in that 4th position. There you see him in the Team GT car, and you can see that he has only got about a 6/10 of a second cushion right now over Frank Levesque the 4th as they work themselves out of the China bend underneath the Westwood Insurance Bridge. They will come in just 1 moment's time, and then to round out your top 5, we talked about is Levesque. He's got himself about a 2-second gap right now over Jeffrey Ritfield, who runs in the 6th position. And then in Ritfield, about 1.5 second advantage right now over Christopher Payne. Payne with a 1 second advantage over Adi Cobo Lopez. And then to round out your top 10 will be John Allier in 9th. There you see him at the rear of your shot. And then in the 10th position is Andrea Pinero, but very close racing all the way through your top 10 right now. Running on board with Joel Gurez as they work themselves down into the keyhole once again. You see slowest corner on the racetrack there. Less than 70 miles an hour through the centre of that one. Now we're coming to the fastest part of the racetrack through the kink. And of course, don't forget the Verizon IndyCar Series is of course running here this coming weekend. It's a great opportunity to show the Verizon car here with that number 10 of Joel Gurez as he works themselves back down towards that complex 5, 6 and 7 on the racetrack. Frank Levette the fourth really has closed up now on the rear of Ricardo Chevio, running on board with him. Got about a 15-second gap to the race lead, however. I have talked to drivers, and fuel saving. A number of things about this new car is you have got the opportunity to use different fuel mixtures. So you've got a number of different fuel map settings. You've got 3 settings, which pretty much all running full rich. Then you've got setting 2, 3, 4 and 5. Will, in essence, just put less fuel to the car, lower revs, you save some fuel, but at this track, it really doesn't seem to be worth it. Another point to note as well is we will likely see all of these cars take 4 fresh Firestone tyres when they come onto pit road, because it seems to be those last couple of laps, especially when push to pass comes in a lot more, these guys want to make sure they've got the grip, and of course these tyres are just so grippy, so strong at the start of a run. Having a look at Frank Evers then, you can see he's actually just recently been passed by Dennis Garis. Garis, of course, having that issue a little bit earlier on. Not sure what happened there, we do apologise. But riding now on board with Frank Evers, he's running in that 12th position last time by, 1 minute 9.4 for him. As he works himself underneath the Westwood Insurance Bridge down towards the carousel. Great leap of faith indeed at this point, as we are getting closer now to halfway distance, so that pit window will open in the next 2 to 3 laps. Working themselves through turn 1. Note also, you just saw it there, we might be able to have a look when one of these other cars come through. You see that yellow kind of like sausage curve there? You've got to make sure when you come out of pit road, you stay on the inside of that, all 4 wheels, until you get past the yellow line. Otherwise, you will get yourself a slow down penalty. As we have a look at the biggest movers and gainers in this race, and you can see your 2014 Season 2 champion of Chivion. He has gained the most places in this race so far, up 6 places. Your biggest loser so far, well, that's Joshua Chin, Carlo Labate, and also Tom Ward as well. Of course, Ward is involved in that incident a little bit earlier on, and Boudion is down 15 places since the drop of the green flag here today. Things are settling down now at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Evers and Garis are still having their battle on the racetrack. But as it stands right now, it is Sebastian Job still leading the way. Pit stops are coming in just a couple of moments' time. We're going to step aside for 1 moment, and then we'll be right back. We're continuing coverage here from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, You can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, round number 11 of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series comes to you tomorrow. Coverage starts at 1:30 p.m. on iRacing Live and RaceSpotTV as Gregor Hutu looks to make it 7 wins in a row at the track that hosted 1994 and 1995 Pacific Grand Prix. Yep, it's Tuayadia, the Okayama International Circuit. We'll be with you once again from 1:30 p.m. GMT tomorrow, only on iRacing Live and RaceSpotTV. Looking high above right now at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, exactly 2.5 miles in length. Don't forget, you can follow us as well at RaceSpotTV. There is your race leader, Sebastian Job, and there you can see is the gap to second place. Mark Fangman involved in a really close battle right now with Fabio Gonzalez as they work themselves underneath the trees once again down towards the China Bends. And let's have a look from the rear of Fangman's car as they work themselves now through that section of the racetrack. Gap is about 0.4 of a second on the racetrack. Now, Gonzalez might actually consider pitting a little bit early here because he has really been held up by Mark Fangman the last 7-8 laps of this race. If he can do the cut under, he'll get fresh tyres of course, and so long as he can manage those tyres for the second run, this could be now the ample opportunity to start down onto pit road, potentially get himself 4 fresh tyres, top up with race fuel, get it out of the way, and then be able to potentially do that undercut on Mark Fangman that we were talking about. Pit road right now is a very lonely place. There you see that gaggle of cars we were showing you before. Jeffrey Rettville, who is running himself in the 5th position on the racetrack. Frank Levesque in the 6th spot. And then you've got Christopher Payne running in the 7th position right now. Jules Goulas in 8th. And then you see the gap between Goulas and Alia is about 2 seconds on the racetrack. They run in the 9th position. But this is a really intense battle we have got right now. For what is essentially the battle to get yourself into the top 5 as we ride on board with Frank Levesque the 4th in that number 15 car, working himself down into the China Bend. We're staying on board with him for just one moment's time. You can really see good throttle control needed for this section of the racetrack. Don't forget as well, ladies and gentlemen, we will be with you all season long here on RaceSpotTV. Every single Friday, 8 p.m. GMT here on RaceSpotTV as we bring you coverage of the 2014 Season 3 iRacing.com Road Course Series Championship of IndyCar. Oh, you see, Redfield is going to bring his car onto pit road. He's going to be the first of our drivers to do so. Let's keep an eye out there for Redfield. As I say, expect 4 fresh tyres for him. And he's going to get 4 fresh tyres. Just top himself up with a little bit of race fuel as well. Let's see what the time is. This will be the indicator for everyone else. Slow stop, 8.4 seconds. He is out and away. There you see, merging back onto the racetrack, Jeremy Whitfield, the first of our top 10 to blink. Oh, we've got Timo Butchheim now also scored on pit road. And let's see what the pit time for him is going to be. 8.2 seconds, so a couple of tenths quicker than Redfield. He bringing his car back out onto the racetrack as well. So pit road starting to get a bit more of a busy place. You'll see Butchheim just merging his car back onto the racetrack. There you can see, got a little bit of traffic ahead of him as well. You've got to be careful just as those tyres warm up. Track temperature today is 78 degrees. So there is a northerly wind of 2 miles an hour. Relative humidity today is 55%. And you will see actually some of these guys with fresher tyres being a lot faster in their first couple of laps. And you might see it here. Butchheim just keeping an eye on him, making sure that he doesn't get too loose through the trying to bench. Yep, nice for him. He carries on around the racetrack. Christopher Payne still involved in that battle, but of course the man on the move is this guy. He is the biggest mover in the race so far, up 6 positions since the drop off the green flag. His best lap time, a 1 minute 9.557, just a couple of attempts slower than that last time by, is Chevion in that number 5 car. Expect him to really do something through this sequence of pit stops. Whenever he will come onto pit road as well. Of course, we'll keep an eye out on him for that one as well. But you see Gonzalez is coming onto pit road. Here comes Gonzalez. So we anticipated it. Gonzalez is coming onto pit road before Mark Fangman. So this could give him the opportunity to do that undercut we were just talking about. Lap number 24 of 38 is going to be scored complete this time by. Let's have a look at the pit stop time for Gonzalez. 7.7 seconds there on the jacks for Gonzalez. He is back out and away. So there he is. You just see him coming back out of the tree line and working himself down towards the keyhole once again. 7.7 seconds stop there for Fabio Gonzalez. And a couple of other people on pit road as well. There you see another driver. That is Frederick Ervers just making his pit stop. It was a long pit stop for him, 23.3, potentially speeding on pit road there for Frederick Evers, but he now does bring his car back out onto the racetrack. So then, we are keeping our eye out on our race leader. He will go out and do another lap, just working himself past a little bit of lap traffic actually. And there you can see the gap is now almost 10 seconds between himself and Mark Fangman in that battle for the race lead. And there you can see just a couple of cars he has just navigated himself past, as Ricardo Chevion is now down onto pit road as well. So let's check in with Chevion. We've also got the number 14 car on pit road. Chevion, 7.2 second stop for him. John Allett on pit road. There we see him. Let's see what his pit stop time, 6.7 seconds for him. Fastest pit stop so far, John Allett, representing Club Australia New Zealand, back out and away. So then, Elliott will come out in the 10th place for the time being. Pit stops will continue here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Of course, we are waiting for our race leader, that guy who you see here. Now he comes onto pit road. Great timing there by our cameraman, Sebastian Job, onto pit road. Question is, will Mark Fangman come in this time as well, or will we actually have our first lead change of the day? No, Fangman, you can see, is in as well. So he's going to make his pit stop, but Job, there you see him, and he's going to make his pit stop. Let's go and get a better camera angle than that. And his pit time for him, 7.5 seconds. He is back out and away. And let's keep an eye on what Fangman's time is. You can see still on the jacks for him. And it's going to be a long stop for Fangman, 7.7 seconds. So not the fastest pit stop time by any of these drivers, really, as they both come back out onto the racetrack. About a second slower than John Elliott. And you can actually see that under pressure now is Fangman as they work themselves out of pit road, just being passed there by the number 2 car. Of course, the number 2 car is lighter on fuel, but Fangman is also on cold tyres. Expect to see Fangman charging back over the course of this lap. So as it stands right now, it is actually Frank Levesque who is classified as leading this race If he comes into pit road this time by, he might not be classified as your overall race leader. We'll keep an eye out though. Frank Levette could be our first official lead change at the line when he comes past pit road next time by. No, he will stay out. So Frank Levette will become an official leader of this race with 26 laps scored complete. There you see it at the top of your screen. Frank Levette is now your new race leader. So, as it stands right now, Levesque hasn't pitted, Gurez hasn't pitted, they are running 1 and 2. There you see Gurez in the second place right now. And then you've got Sebastian Job running in that third position. He has pitted. Gonzalez, by the way, just to give you an update, has been able to get himself past Mark Fangman, and he's been able to get himself actually at about a 4-second advantage now over Fangman. So that was showing. You see the pit time there again for Fabian Gonzalez was 7.7 seconds. It was the same pit stop time for Mark Fangman, 7.7 seconds, as we're going to ride on board with Fangman. Not quite close enough, actually, to make the pass right now over Retfield, who, again, hasn't yet made his pit stop. Fangman is losing even more time right now. This is really going to hurt his charge towards the end of this race. But Fangman has lost out on that position to... Who was I just saying there? To Fabio Gonzalez, who, of course, they are battling at the start of this race. Levesque will do another lap as he works on to now lap number 28. There will be 10 laps to go this time by Frank Levesque. We don't think that he's going to try and go all the way, but he's going to make this pit stop as short as possible. Now, one of the things as well, because of the fact that these guys are all pretty much going to take 4 fresh tyres, it doesn't really matter when you make your pit stop. As soon as that window opens and you know you can make it to the end of the race on fuel and a set of tyres, you might as well just come in, because taking tyres takes about 6.5 seconds. So taking tyres, you might as well then also top up on fuel as well. Topping up on fuel, take tyres, you know what I mean. Close battle going on the racetrack right now. We're having a look on board now with the driver of Frederick Avers, running himself in the 13th position on the racetrack, trying to get himself past Andre Pinero in the battle for the 12th place on the racetrack. Will he try and use a little bit of push to pass coming out the corner? Doesn't look as though he's close enough, but he's getting himself a good toe as they work themselves through the kink. Does look as though he's on the button. Will he try and make a lunge down to the inside? Yes, he will. And Frederick Evers moving himself up 1 place on the racetrack. Evers up 12th there. And now you see Frank Levesque, by the way, is on pit road. So, Levesque is on pit road. He's going to fall back down through the field. Let's keep an eye out. What was his pit stop time? 6.8 seconds on the racetrack. He comes back out in the 7th place on the racetrack. We also saw another car on pit road as well. We're getting word that that might have been Retfield, but no, Retfield's actually staying out. So, Levesque makes his pit stop, 6.8 seconds. Now down into the 7th place on the racetrack, just ahead of that. Look at this, Payne trying to make a bit of a run right now on Chivion in what is the battle for the 5th place on the racetrack. Working herself on board with Christopher Payne there as he tries to close down Ricardo Chivion in the last 10 laps of this race. A little bit of oversteer there as they work themselves underneath the Westwood Insurance Bridge down towards the carousel for Christopher Payne. Just to let you know, by the way, Sebastian Job is once again scored as your race leader. Now Levesque has made his pit stop. Christopher Payne not quite close enough to make a run there on Chivion as they come past. Now just 9 laps to go in this event. Oh, but Payne almost trying to make a move down into turn 1 there. That's always a risky place to do so. But Chivion is under increasing pressure right now in the latter stages of this event. We're going to ride on board now with Chivion. You can see there from the rear of that Team GT car, it does look as though that he has got himself a good run out the keyhole that time by. That gap's now to about 6 tenths of a second on the racetrack over Payne. Looks as though that Chivion is going to be okay now for the rest of this lap. So, Job is currently scored as your race leader. As I say, biggest movers in this race. Well, Chivion is still the biggest mover so far. He is up 5 places, but Payne up 9 places as well. Gurez and Lopez both up 10 positions. And you can see Joshua Chin now classified as out of the race. We're not quite sure what happened to him there. Outside of our screen, Joshua Chin is classified as out of the race. Labate Ward, of course, big losers in the event, and Budon also classified as out of the race as well, at the rear of the field. Field has started to settle down just a little bit more now. We're just 7 laps to go once they come past the start-finish line, but this guy is still classified as your race leader, Sebastian Job. He started this race on pole position. You can see his last lap of 1 minute 8.904. We're going to ride on board of him. He's just had an absolutely fabulous race in that Apex Racing UK car. Don't forget, you can see a couple more of the Apex Racing UK guys in World Championship competition tomorrow on RaceSpotTV as the 11th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series comes into town from TIA Adia, also better known as the Okayama International Circuit, home of the 1994-1995 Pacific Grand Prix. Gregor Hutu looking to make it 7 wins in a row, and that'll be tomorrow on RaceSpotTV. Coverage starts at 1:30 p.m. GMT, also on iRacing Live as well. Payne is still involved in that battle with Shivion in the battle for the 5th position on the racetrack. Let's ride on board one more time with Christopher Payne as they work themselves through turn number 1. Little bit over aggressive there, out of the keyhole. That's going to hurt his chance for Payne. Does look as though he was on the bottom that time as well. So that's going to be one push to pass loss for Christopher Payne. Just to let people know, I know a couple of people have tried to get in contact with us on Twitter. Unfortunately, we cannot provide any information yet on who is on push to pass and when. As you can see now, Payne all over the rear of Shivion with what essentially is 6.5 laps left to go in this race. We are working on it, trying to give you some information of when drivers are on push to pass, and we will try and bring that to you as soon as we possibly can. This is still, by the way, the best battle we have on the racetrack. This is why we're sticking with it for just the time being. It's the battle between Shivion running in the 5th position, Christopher Payne running himself in the 6th spot on the racetrack. These guys have been at it since the drop of the green flag here today, riding once again on board with Ricardo Shivion in that battle for the 4th position. Actually, someone just come onto pit road. I believe that might actually have been someone potentially out of the race. Could be Gonzalez. We'll get a confirmation of that in just one moment's time. But, of course, we were waiting for one driver to come down onto pit road. Just trying to have a look at our timing and scoring to see who that could have been. But Shivion now back up into the 4th place on the racetrack. Christopher Payne now running inside the top 5 as well. So then, Jeremy Whitfield right now scored in the 2nd place on the racetrack. Of course, he did make that pit stop earlier on of 8.4 seconds. He has been able to really leap his way through the field. And actually, no, just having to think about it again, I think we might now know what the issue was. Because earlier on, of course, it wasn't Whitfield scored in that 2nd position. It was Fangman earlier. He was involved in a great battle with Gonzalez, but it does look as though that Gonzalez is now actually classified as out of the race. So that is what the issue is for Gonzalez. Just trying to figure out what the issue is for him. There you see him on pit road. Gonzalez all the way down now in the 17th position on the racetrack. He's given 2nd place up to Jeffrey Ridford there, who is now scored in that 2nd position. And there you see the gap between himself and Mark Fangman, 1.4 seconds on the racetrack. Riding on board then with that guy who has inherited that 2nd place, and he is, get this, up 3 positions since the drop of the green flag. Started in the 5th spot, now running in 2nd. Consistent lap times right now, about 1 minute 9.4s for him as he works himself back down towards the carousel once again. But that gap between himself and Fangman is stable right now at about 1.4 seconds on the racetrack. In fact, it has eked out a couple of attempts the last lap or so. But we still have that battle, of course, just behind it. There you see it there between Chevion and Payne. And Payne looking down to the inside in turn number 1. He's tried that a couple of times, not being able to make it stick. As we're going to go back on board with Payne once again. A little bit too far back now. He needs to hope. Oh, look at that. No. Potentially now he has got the chance, if he goes on the button, to try and get that position, because Chevion ran wide down at the keyhole there. This could be the chance that Payne has been waiting for. You can see Chevion taking a defensive line. Payne trying to look to the outside. He's going to get that job done. Side-by-side racing. But Chevion, oh no, making contact. Payne there involved in it as well. And now Payne's going to have to find a way spinning that car around. Christopher Payne, who was almost battling to get himself up into 4th position, now is all the way down to the 8th place on the racetrack. Let's get ourselves a replay of that one up on your screen. So this is what we're looking at then. Keep an eye out on Payne and Chevion coming down into the China bend. You can see there the Team GT car. They made a little bit of contact. I'm not quite sure how much contact there was. We'll try and get ourselves another angle of that. But Payne was spun around there, and that has caused him to drop well down the order. Here's another angle as they come down into the China bend. And yo, notice Payne actually, he got loose all by himself on the dirty line. That's got him spun around, and that is the reason why he's now scored all the way down in the 8th place on the racetrack. However, it is less than 3 laps to go for this guy, your race leader, Sebastian Job. Almost 2 laps to go for him right now as he works himself down into the carousel. Once again, there you see pit entry left-hand side. 2 laps to go now for Sebastian Job as he comes past start-finish line. Got a battle developing now. It was between Chevion earlier on with guy now running in 8th, Christopher Payne. Now Joel Gurez is getting involved in the mix. Let's ride on board with Gurez because he's actually only about 0.5 of a second now behind Chevion. There you see it on your screen. Gurez running in the 6th position on the racetrack. Up 12 positions since the drop of the green flag here today. Our biggest mover in the top 10. Chevion spins it. Chevion spins that car. That is going to allow Gurez up into the 5th position, and it is going to put Chevion all the way down into the 9th position. That is not what we normally expect to have happen to guys in this event. Let's get a replay of that sprint up on your screen. So there we see it then, just on the exit of turn number 1. Chevion just losing his car then. This is something that we don't normally see have happened to him. And this is a real, and I think actually he just caught that sausage curb there. Down on the inside of turn number 1. We will get ourselves another replay of that after the race has concluded, because for Sebastian Job, the white flag is in hand. There is 1 more lap to go for him. And get this, the gap between himself and Jeffrey Redfield, 15 seconds on the racetrack. Job has been absolutely flawless in this race so far today. We're right on board him for this beautiful section of the racetrack just one more time. So then just a couple of corners now left to go for Sebastian Job in that Apex Racing Academy car. Working himself now on the back end of the racetrack. You can see just how many gradient changes there are. It has been Sebastian Job's day as he works himself now down towards the final corner for the final time. Sebastian Job will take victory here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and what a victory it's been for him. Has led pretty much every single lap except for when he was on pit road. Jeffrey Whitfield's going to be a well-deserved 2nd place for him. Started 5th, now 2nd place finish for him. Then we'll have a look back to Mark Famman. He comes across the line in 3rd. Frank Levesque at 4th will come home in 4th. And then it will be Joel Gurez who comes home in the 5th position. Adi Copa Lopez runs in 6th. Then it's Christopher Payne and Chevion there, battling to the line. Down to the inside, tries to go Chevion, not quite close enough. Payne in 7th, Chevion in 8th. Dennis Gareese recovers to come home in the 9th position. And then Frederick Evers rounds out your top 10. But for Sebastian Job, that guy, it is the sweet, sweet taste of victory for him here today, as he has just been absolutely dominant in the Apex Racing UK car. We're going to step aside for just one moment and we'll be right back with closing thoughts here from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Stick with us, we'll be right back in just one moment's time.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
So then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We said we'll get yourself a replay of this. This is what we were talking about earlier. Ricardo Chevion just spinning that car around down into turn number 1. And say for the champion from last season, this is something we really didn't have to expect happen to him. We'll get an onboard look of that because this was one of the big moments at the end of this race. It was all going on, you see, just clipping that white line a little bit and then Chevion spinning that car around, which is what led him to being classified a little bit further on the field than he was probably hoping to be here today. We'll get ourselves one more replay of that. You see, just losing that car, looping one, very lucky actually that a Verizon car didn't make contact with him either. Very lucky when all was said and done. So then, we're going to run through your final race results here from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. There you see it as well, car just stranded down. Little bit of contact being made there as well. Let's have a look, see if we can get a bit of an understanding of who that was. It was the number 14 car and the number 21 machine involved in that one. This was down at the keyhole just after Chevion's incident. So the number 14 car, of course, was John Elliott, and the number 21 car, just having a look, it was Christopher Payne, of course, and we was having a look at all of those incidents a little bit earlier on in this event. But to run through your final race results, and it was Sebastian Job, fastest lap, 1 minute 8.447, taking victory here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Second place, Jeffrey Ritfield, 13.2 seconds back after all was said and done. Mark Fangman in third, Frank Levesque in fourth, Joel Gurez in fifth, Adi Copa Lopez in sixth, Christopher Payne 7th, Ricardo Chevion in 8th, Dennis Garice and Frederick Evers rounds out your top 10. On to page number 2, you see Adrian Pinero in 11th, Tino Butchheim in 12th, Oliver Brown in 13th, John Elliott in 14th, Robert Bigoni, Marcus Hamilton, Fabio Gonzalez, all drivers who finished the race, and then Joshua Chin, the first of your retirees, Carlo Labate, Tom Ward, and then Diego Ranchin Bordon rounding out your field. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being part of our coverage here today on RaceSpotTV. We'll be back in exactly 1 week's time for more coverage as we head on to the second round of the season. Myself, Will Vincent, don't forget you can check me out on Twitter at Will Vincent, also facebook.com/I am Will Vincent as well. Coverage today has been brought to you by And One Designs. Don't forget, we've got the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series tomorrow from Okayama. We'll see you from that, and we'll see you here on RaceSpotTV next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.